It's cool to come home, right? I think, there's a bunch of stuff with the transfer portal that, I kind of feel bad about, but that's a good one. I think there's times where guys just need fresh starts. Guys just need to go home, go somewhere else. And I hope and pray that he'll blossom here because he's a heck of a player, unbelievable talent, and super excited for him to be back here. And then, like you said, to go home and play at Death Valley should be a fantastic game.
As a former lineman, how much do you like watching a Mario Cristobal run practice?
It's amazing. It really is. I mean, I couldn't imagine playing for that because it would be so cool. And he's just so jacked up, and he's a head coach, but man, he loves being in those trenches with those guys. And it was cool to see just kind of how he broke up his time and when he would go see the defense or go see the quarterbacks. But those are his guys there, and the intensity that he has, the passion, the obsessiveness. You've got to have that to be great, and he has it.
They're recruiting well at that O-line position.
Right.
The thing the lineman always says, I love how he jumps in and does it. Like, if you were getting recruited, is that a pitch
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the deal. So when it comes from your position coach, it means something. When it comes from your OC or DC, it means something. When it comes from him, it means everything. And it's there's so much weight in everything that he says and everything that he does. And so for him to really wrap his arms around that unit, of course with the offensive line coach, with Mirabal, it just means that much.
What do you think about the staff he's put together? I mean, you got a couple guys who were former head coaches, guys who are probably going to be
Hall of
head coaches
Famers.
soon.
I mean, it's unbelievable to see, even from the GA and just support staff standpoint, home run with the coordinators. I think with Coach Gaddis specifically, the fit is tremendous. I mean, when I think of what he wants to do, I think of Miami football, what it should be and what it is going to be. And so when I see that heavy package, I see those tight ends, which, my goodness, there's 2 or 3 great ones here that really are going to flourish. It's tremendous. And then Coach Steele played with him. I got cussed out by him for 7 months, and then he went somewhere else. So I think from that aspect, fantastic. And then you see just everybody else. But it speaks to the financial commitment that this university has made. It speaks to, okay, we're going to put our money where our mouth is, and they went out there and absolutely did that.
Any similarities between Mario and Dabo?
You know what? From a passion and love of their players, I don't think any question, but very different, very different. Like I want to say robot, but that's almost a negative thing because he's a great recruiter. He's great with the relationships, but it's just such a hyper focus. And so it's just different. It's very different, but certainly similarities in the same of how they treat their guys, how they love their guys, and can't wait to see those two battle it out.
You know what it looks like when it's championship level good. How far off is this roster?
I think they have a ways to go. When the first guys are there, it's great, but depth is going to be the key. Developing guys, getting guys, and that's what you're seeing in recruiting right now. So I think it would be unfair to say this year or next year, but it's coming. And the expectation should be there. The expectation from the fans, the staff, these players. And so when I say a ways, it's just a time thing. You just got to get guys. And as we all know with the transfer portal, that can be sped up. You can go and get guys. And specifically looking at this defensive line, spring, maybe pre-spring, I was a little bit concerned, a little bit worried. But then they go out and get these unbelievable talents from West Virginia, from Maryland, from UCLA. And there's some depth. I think that room can really surprise some people. So that'll be the biggest thing, getting depth at the defensive line, wide receiver. They've got it at running back, offensive line continue to grow. That'll be the key where you're like, okay, we're fighting for this thing every year.
And looking at, from like a 10,000 foot kind of point of view, how do you think the perception of Miami's changed over the course of, last 8-9 months since Mario got here?
It's night and day. I mean, again, I talk about that commitment. I talk about that being all in to this, to football, to, okay, we're building a building that maybe breaks ground in a year or two. We're putting the finances there in the coaching staff. We're saying, okay, we want to be great at this. It matters. And I certainly think that it has to translate. Like, it's great to do all this now, but it has to translate to the field. But I just don't see how it could not with Coach Cristobal, with this staff, and with the attitude that they have.
A couple more for Eric because you got to Corey waiting.
So who's your pick for ACC champion and final?
It's crazy to say Clemson at this time maybe, and we'll go see them next week, and maybe I'll have a better picture for you, but that defense is going to be unbelievable. I mean, they have so much depth, so much star power. Offensively, it's going to come down to quarterback. Can DJ Uiagalelei take a step and be back at what we saw in 2020? I think NC State is a great pick. I think they are an experienced team. They've got a lot of great players, got a great quarterback. I think the best in the league in Devin Leary. Pittsburgh, another team that is extremely deep. I know they lost Kenny Pickett. I know they lost Jordan Addison. Everybody else is back. And so you feel really good about that. And then, of course, Miami. So I think that there's 4 teams, which is awesome. How fun is that to sit here and say that there's legit 2 on each side that could be fighting for that championship?